Wendy's, in some locations, has just taken burgers off the menu. So now we are seeing the next wave of economic collapse. There's big warnings about landlords and restaurants not reopening, but now even big chains are being hit by this. It's not just Wendy's. Costco, Kroger, and other leading stores are now rationing meat. Recently, Donald Trump announced he was going to use the Defense Production Act to make sure these meat processing plants stayed open because there was a serious threat of a food shortage. Now, some people have said, no, there's a big difference between a food shortage and a meat shortage, and we don't have to eat meat, right? Listen, it's not about if it's meat. I don't care if it was a blueberry shortage. The point is, food in general is the supply is collapsing. The chain is breaking. It's not even necessarily about whether or not they can produce the food. It's about whether or not the chain itself of delivering the food can make it to stores. Farmers have been towing under their vegetables, just dumping them back in the dirt, dumping dairy. And now we're seeing more meat shortages, and we were warned about this. So look, many of you maybe don't go to Wendy's. Many of you probably think it's fine, I'll eat chicken or fish or something. This is just the beginning. We don't know how far this will go or how bad it will get, but let me tell you, it was, I think, 3 months ago when I started doing ads for that emergency food supply company. I was told once by a journalism professor that I had the unfortunate privilege of being ahead of the market in most things that I was doing. And it works out for me. It helps me run my business. But I also want to point out, I was fairly early on warning about food shortages. At the time, we were seeing people raid store shelves. They were running into Walmart. They were buying up everything. But as I noted and many others noted, that was just a temporary thing as they started to restock because the supply chain was still working. But we were warned that come the end of April or May, the chain was broken. And we were going to start seeing legitimate hard shortages from the producers. Now we're here. And boy, did some of these people get a rude awakening when they pulled up to their favorite fast food chain and there was a sign saying, sorry, we ain't got beef. I don't know where this ends or how far it goes, but I got a couple stories for you. Major chains. I talked about this yesterday, but now we're hearing more stores. More stores are rationing meat. Now, it could just end at meat. I don't know. It could get better from here. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if you haven't prepared for something, prepared for the worst, well, it's not going to be anyone's fault but your own. So I'm loving it. All the people on Twitter who made fun of me because I was promoting emergency food, sure, you do what you want. I don't care. All right. Because when you go to the store and they tell you can't have meat, I'm going to be sitting back being like, well, I stocked up on my protein a long time ago. Granted, meat doesn't last that long relative to like beans and rice. So there's not a whole lot you can do. If this food shortage happens and it gets worse than just meat, you're going to be happy you've had something and you've taken care of this a long time ago. I wonder if any of these people who are on Twitter acting like they were all smart, I wonder if they're now going, uh-oh, I should have went and bought food. Oh, now because you're going to the store, they're telling you you can't. Check out this story from the Daily Mail. Wendy's takes burgers off the menu in some restaurants as meat shortages spread across the U.S., leading grocery stores Costco and Kroger to warn of rationing and dwindling supply. It's not just there. This is the latest update. Ohio grocers are now rationing meats. This includes, I think it's called Giant Eagle. And they do talk about Kroger. Many of the big box stores are doing their best to remain open and keep the supply moving. But because certain processing plants are shutting down, suppliers for certain areas are starting to ration meat. You got to understand, this isn't about like one day you wake up and every store in every part of the country has no meat. It's about each different area has a different processing system. Each different area sends and receives meat from other areas. So you might have a regional warehouse that can't get any meat, and then all of the fast food restaurants in your area no longer serve beef. 2 towns over, they might have this. You don't know when or how it will hit you. Now, before we read this, I want to point something out to everyone who seems, I've got a lot of questions about this, so I'm going to tell you. This is what you're seeing is my other YouTube channel, youtube.com/Timcast. It is not the same as this channel. It is an entirely different channel. Don't ask me why YouTube did this. It says Tim Pool, but the URL is youtube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel. I've been getting a lot of questions from people saying, you keep saying you have a different channel, but this one already is Timcast. And I'm like, no, I don't know why YouTube did this. They changed it to Tim Pool and then they changed this one to Timcast. I'm just letting you know, go subscribe if you haven't. The videos are fairly similar, but usually more in depth if you haven't seen it. And subscribe. it would be greatly appreciated. Plus, you get more content from me. Let's read the story from the Daily Mail. They say Wendy's restaurant has taken burgers off the menu in some locations, and grocery stores Costco and Kroger have announced limited stocks of beef as Americans start to feel the impact of the pandemic-triggered meat shortage. On Monday, angry customers realized the Wendy's hallmark item was no longer available, and only chicken items were available for takeout and delivery at select locations across the country. Where's the beef? Some outraged social media users asked, invoking Wendy's catchphrase from the 80s. It's a shocking decision for Wendy's, which established itself as the first fast food chain to offer fresh, never frozen beef. And it's an eerie foreshadowing of what's to come at restaurants across the country. It's not a choice. It's a shocking decision. You mean Wendy's couldn't get any beef, so they just decide, no, if they can't get beef, they can't sell it. End of story. There's no decision. What do? Give you an invisible burger? It's there. Trust me. It's not a decision, Daily Mail. This is hitting everybody. Outbreaks of the virus at meat packing plants across the country have led slaughterhouses to shutter, farms to kill off animals they can no longer feed, store shelves to empty, and now restaurants to alter their menus. Check this out. Look at this photo. Groceries warehouse Costco said on Monday would limit customers to just 3 packages of meat per shopper. A look at emptying meat shelves pictured above at Costco in North Miami. Man, here's the plant-based meats. Kroger supermarkets posted an alert on its website saying there's a limited inventory due to high demand. Empty meat shelves pictured at an Atlanta Kroger on Friday. You guys ever see V for Vendetta? Maybe you have. I'm reminded of that scene where Evie is in V's HQ. If you haven't seen it, it doesn't matter. I'll break it down for you. He gives her what's called like an egg in a basket or something. It's a piece of toast with a fried egg on top. She bites it and she goes, "Is this real butter? Wow. I haven't had real butter since I was a kid." I think there's going to be a lot of people eating vegan food. I really do. You might not be happy about it. It's not all bad. That goes to show how I feel about it. A lot of it is. There's some good stuff. But I think what's going to happen with these meat shortages, you are going to see, so long as it's available. Look, man, if you can't get meat and you want protein, let me just ask you, you can comment below. Would you settle for eating a piece of like tofurkey or some kind of, gluten-based meat product if you couldn't get meat at all? I got to tell you what, if it were me, I like having a sandwich with, like meat, cheese, lettuce, tomato. And if the meat's gone, I'll take what protein I can get. I got no problem having like a mushroom-based thing, protein-based or whatever, or chickpeas or something, or a black bean burger. But I think you're going to see a lot of people now eating these things and raiding the vegan section because, hey, man, fake meat is better than no meat at all. And that's what we're looking at. Because check out this photo. Here's the plant-based section. I don't know if there's actually stuff in it, but it says plant-based. And you can see the meat section is dwindling. And I'll tell you what, too, if they're telling you can only get a few, you can only take 3 items, I'll tell you, I'll take 3 items of this and a handful of the vegan stuff. Because like I said, man, fake meat's better than no meat. But that's the reason I brought up the V for Vendetta thing is that we might be entering a future with this pandemic, maybe in the short term, maybe not for the long term, where people are going to be eating fake meat. And then there'll be like a point where like a rich person is like, we're having real beef for dinner. And people are going to be like, whoa, you can afford real beef? Wow. We've only been eating the tofu. We've only been eating the tofu stuff. It could happen, man. This glorious golden age we're living in might not last forever. People don't realize just how hard real life is. They don't realize how much energy and resources and labor goes into the production of this food. I mean, we could be entering a world where everything's artificial. Think about fresh water, actually. I've made this point several times, like in 50 to 100 years, there's going to be little kids. They're going to be asking you, they're going to be like, whoa, when you were little, you would just flush fresh water down the toilet? And you're going to be like, we did it. Literally just press the thing and watch all that fresh water go into the drain. Wow. And you're going to go to the store and have to pay exorbitant amounts of money to get your gallon of water for the day, and everyone's constantly dehydrated. I don't know if it'll actually get that bad with fresh water. We have a lot of water on this planet, but desalination or desalinization, whatever people call it, isn't a guarantee. It actually increases the salinity levels of the ocean, and actually is really damaging to the bottom, the seafloor, which has a ripple effect. I'm not going to get into all that. The point is, we live in a golden age, man. We can eat whatever we want, whenever we want. We get strawberries in the winter. We get avocados from around the world. People are living in such a luxury. They don't realize that a lot of things they have are not sustainable in the long term. Notably, this idea that we can have unlimited supply of meat all year round whenever we want, especially when emergencies happen. During wartime, people in this country they experienced this stuff. They experienced shortages. I mean, I remember my grandpa telling me about World War II and like what he had to do. And he said they would eat moldy bread and basically eat garbage because it was like, it's food, man. You eat what you can eat. Today's day and age, we've all grown up in such luxury. We've always had everything we've ever wanted. This is going to be a shock to people. Oh no, you can't get your burger at Wendy's. Here it comes, man. This is just the beginning. Again, I don't know if it'll get worse from here, get better. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if you are seeing these signs and you are still shaking your head saying, oh, please, Tim, it's just a couple of Wendy's that don't have burgers. What did I say a few months ago? When there was food everywhere, I said it would get worse. Now, here we are, and it's worse than it's ever been. Or in my lifetime, I'll say that. Maybe not even in my lifetime. Okay, I'll walk that back. It's pretty bad, and it could get worse. It could get, worse than we've ever seen. Stores telling you, sorry, man, you can't buy the meat. I'm actually glad that Beyond Burger exists and the Impossible Burger, because I don't know if you've ever had the Impossible Burger. It's actually pretty good. I wouldn't say it tastes like a real burger. I would say it tastes kind of like a fast food processed burger. So I'll take it, man. Look, you don't got to do it. I'll eat fake meat if there's no meat left. I'll happily do it. I actually like a lot of vegan products. Chow cheese, Adam, my buddy Adam, you might know him from the IRL podcast. He's often talking about chow cheese, and he's right. It's really good. Because of these shortages, don't be surprised if we enter a future like V for Vendetta where you're eating imitation products. Then you go to that rich person party. The senator is like, we're having real cheese for dinner. And people are going to be like, oh my. Let's read a little bit more. Beef shortages were reported at Wendy's locations in California, South Carolina, and Kentucky on Monday. In Chicago, Wendy's Baconator Bacon Cheeseburger was still available for order. As you've likely heard, beef suppliers across North America are currently facing product challenges, said Wendy's. Because of this, some of our menu items may be in short supply from time to time at some restaurants in this current environment. We expect this to be temporary, and we are working diligently to minimize the impact, to our customers and restaurants. McDonald's Canada said in a statement, it will start sourcing beef from outside the country to make ends meet due to meat shortages. Quote, due to unprecedented COVID-19 impacts on the Canadian beef supply chain, we are temporarily adjusting our supply to incorporate beef from outside Canada, from pre-approved McDonald's suppliers and facilities globally, in order to meet the current demand, effective immediately, McDonald's Canada branch said in a statement. So McDonald's in Canada, it's looking like it's getting really close to a potential shortage. No burgers. Could you imagine this? No burgers? I'll be honest with you. I don't eat burgers. I eat very little beef. I mostly just eat chicken and fish. So for me, I'm kind of like, well, I wasn't going to have a burger anyway. And a lot of people, though, that's like the burger is the staple, man. It's like the American cheeseburger. Going away, it's going to change people, man. Grocery warehouse Costco said Monday it would limit customers to just 3 packages. So here's some tweets. Someone said, I just pulled up to a Wendy's for a junior bacon cheeseburger for my drive home. And there are signs saying that due to a shortage of meat, they are not serving hamburgers. So I have to ask Wendy's, where's the beef? Haha, it's really funny. People aren't going to be making these jokes when the food shortage becomes a general food shortage. And I think it will. Look, man, they told us they wanted to lock things down to flatten the curve. And so we all said, okay. The projections, were way higher than we thought. And I'll say this, the best way to put it, we did a good job. Social distancing and locking things down worked. And now the death rate is much lower than we thought it was going to be. But now we're seeing serious food shortages. Take a look at this sign. It says, we are terribly sorry for the inconvenience. We are currently experiencing issues with our meat processing supplier and are unable to serve beef products. We are happy to serve chicken and side items. All right. You still got these people on Twitter and these leftists and Democrats saying we can't reopen the second wave. Dude, we were told no matter what we did, people were going to die. They said the same amount of people will die no matter what we do, but we want to flatten the curve. We did that. If a second wave is coming, that's a whole other debate and we can talk about it. But we are running out of food. What do you think happens when there's no food? You know what, man? We can't, at a certain point, we got to say we flatten the curve and it's about time we reopen things to get the products back. Now, of course, people are attacking Donald Trump, saying that he's confusing a meat shortage with a food shortage. And that, from this article from The Conversation says, look, man, plant-based diets are healthier. They're healthier. Yes, technically. technically they're healthier. The big problem is that Americans eat like nothing but cheeseburgers. Dude, you got to have a good amount of meat, protein, I should say, not necessarily meat, but you want that complete amino chain. You want that good iron from those, bloody meat products, and you want some leafy greens and vegetables. Americans tend not to eat enough of their leafy greens and vegetables. At least that's the perception. We have fries, a burger, and a Coke, and a lot of people have that all the time. So you're missing out on really important, aspects of your diet. Naturally, if someone's eating nothing but meat, I mean the meat diet, you might see them saying like, hey, I feel great. Things are better than ever. And we saw, Joe Rogan did this and talked about it, but he got off it after a month. I think Jordan Peterson did it. What you got to understand about those diets is that they're extreme elimination diets. And I think this is what Jordan Peterson was saying, basically, that you don't know what's bad for you. Like, you don't know what's like messing you up. So you switch to an all meat diet. And then if you feel better, you can slowly start reintroducing things to figure out which was the thing that was kind of, jamming you up. There are some potential all meat diets that I've seen stories and people are big proponents of. But the issue is everybody thinks they know what diet is best. I've met tons of keto people who are like, keto is the right choice. I meet vegans who say vegan is the right choice. You've got this article saying plant-based diets are healthier. Dude, I can show you 500 articles saying meat-based diets are healthier. The point is, in my opinion, I just say mix it up a little bit, man. We're omnivores. Eat a little bit of meat, eat some leafy greens, eat healthy, eat natural. Try to make sure your food is the least amount of processed. The issue here is not about whether plant-based diets are healthier. This is like, in my opinion, vegan, it's like someone trying to advocate for getting off meat for a variety of reasons. And there are really good reasons. But here's the point. If you're eating fast food trash burgers all the time, you're going to feel awful. If you're eating a nice lean steak, fresh grilled with a little garlic on it, you're probably going to feel great. Not everybody feels good after eating the same kinds of things. But this is supposed to be about people ragging on Trump, but they are. There are people who have an agenda. And I think you can see the agenda here when they're like, plant-based diets are healthier. And by the way, Donald Trump is risking the lives of these workers. Showing I think they have photos of protests here, do they? No, they don't. There are photos of protesters going viral of people saying don't force my parents to work at this meat plant. They'll get sick. And it's like, people need to eat. And I get it. But when you see articles like this, where they're basically saying Trump is putting these workers at risk, people should just eat vegan and eat plant-based diets. It's like, not everybody wants to eat what you want to eat, dude. Not everybody thinks the same thing, and the science doesn't completely agree with you. There are a ton of documentaries that contradict each other. And that's why it's really frustrating when people are like, oh, you got to eat keto, or oh, you got to eat carnivore, or you got to eat vegan. I'm like, bro, I have seen it all. I don't know. You show me each of these documentaries all claiming they're the right documentary. You show these articles, they all claim they're the right articles. I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of emails from people telling me about why their specific diet is the right diet. I get it, man. Maybe you should just follow a diet, control how much you eat, make sure you're getting the right vitamins. I just try to eat healthy and balanced. But everybody's got an agenda. We can't risk this right now, all right? Donald Trump wants to make these meat plants stay open because it's food. And I'll tell you what, if there was no food left, if let's say you're on the carnivore diet, you're like, I refuse to eat grain, and there's no food, and someone hands you a big old loaf of bread, you would annihilate that thing. If you were a vegan and you were starving and all that was left was a big old hunk of red meat, you would annihilate that thing. You would be surprised what you would eat. You would go into your backyard, lift up a rock, and look for grubs to eat if you were starving. And boy, would it taste good. It would be the most delicious meal you have ever tasted because you're starving. But people don't seem to realize this. Americans live in this luxury where we think it's gross to eat insects and we think it's gross to eat certain things. We literally had a TV show, Fear Factor, where they're like, today on Fear Factor, you have to eat pig intestines. And people are like, oh, it's so gross. And I'm like, dude, that's just food. It's literally food. There are countries where they serve up pig intestines on a plate and people enjoy it. They're like, you got to eat cow eyeball. It's like, that's just food. We eat animals all the time. But because we're used to having our perfect meals, this kind of stuff was freaky to us. Maybe it's for the best. Maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel or an open window here. The door is closed, the window opens, and then Americans will start to become more resilient, start to be toughen up, and actually consider eating things that freak them out, even though it's regular food. Crickets, enjoy some roasted crickets, bro. They sell this stuff. You can go to Mexico and you can eat chocolate-covered crickets and stuff like that. It's food around the world. They actually make cricket flour. I kid you not. They put crickets in a mill and mill it into a fine, dust, and they can make bread with it. I think it's fascinating. I'll tell you what, man, if I'm hungry and you give me food, I will eat it. Now, of course, like most Americans, have a preference for what I like to eat. I don't like to eat burgers. I tell you what, if all the other food was gone, I'll eat a burger. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't. But I'll tell you what, my prediction, this will get worse. I said it a few months ago, these shortages were coming. They are here. Fast food restaurants are running out of meat. You can't get your burgers at some Wendy's. Don't be surprised if you wake up one day and the only thing for you to eat is corn. So I hope you've considered this. I'll wrap it up there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.